What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the WiseTake MLB DFS Wise stream. CK013 here. You can find me on Twitter at CK_013, and of course I'm from the WiseTake Nation, which you can find on the social media platforms listed above or directly at wisetake.com if you're looking to take your DFS game to the next level. We are a premium DFS content provider as well as a DFS community design to help make you a better DFS player. Go check us out. Day passes available. All that shit. That being said, if you're new to this channel, welcome. You've come to the right place with some fire, free DFS content. Please subscribe, hit the notifications bell. Don't miss out on any of the free content we put out, covering slates Monday through Friday for baseball all season long. We appreciate you. Also, like the video, leave some comments. Like hearing back from you. Some of your thoughts on the slate, thoughts on the show, whatever. We like hearing back. All right, so we got a big ass slate to we got 13 games, right? A bit of a change of pace, I'd say, from the 6 that we had, Monday. It's wild. And the interesting thing about this slate that stood out to me when initially looking it over is we got a ton of pitching, which is expected on a slate like this, but not a ton of clear offensive directions. So I'm curious to see what offenses will ultimately become the chalk. Obviously, on this show, it's a first look. So we talk about the things that stand out the most, that appear to be the most obvious. Almost to identify what we think the chalk may be, right? And then, of course, I write a core plays article at wisetake.com going over my favorite tournament strategies, in addition to cash game strategies. After everything's settled in, ownership projections are considered, things are more thoroughly researched. That being said, we're going to start off with top pitchers. Shout out to Patrick Bush. I see you in the YouTube chat, man. What's happening, bro? He says, what's up, CK? Glad you are streaming. The Heat versus Bucks game. This is a disaster. I turned it off. Yeah, that was wild, man. They got destroyed. I mean, Milwaukee's a good team. You don't expect to see a team like the Heat not show up for a playoff game like that, but I mean, it's Giannis, man. Right? Like, it's Giannis. But yeah, shout out to you, Pat. Appreciate you watching. Okay. Jacob Degrom. Yes, right? Let me get you guys the stats real quick. There we go. All right, Jacob Degrom, best pitcher in baseball. I don't give a fuck what you say. 46% K rate so far this season. He's been hurt though. He's missed some time. They missed time for like some kind of strain. I forget what it was, and then pitched again. I guess it flared up again. But I know he had a minor league game. I saw on Twitter everybody was talking about how he was throwing like 100. He had 102. And it was like the minor league organization for the Cardinals that was like, somebody get this man back up and everything else. But we've seen the Mets be cautious with DeGrom in the past. And again, this is an injury that's caused him to basically leave early twice. So I'm not sure. I know he's been doing bullpen sessions and all that kind of stuff, which is, sounds good. The other factor is the Mets are pretty desperate for a win. They were in first place, I believe, but they're banged up. Their whole offense is just missing. Pete Alonso, J.D. Davis, Conforto, McNeil, I think Nimmo. Like literally all their guys are out. So they're pretty desperate for a win. So maybe they let DeGrom go and just take the risk. I don't know. But I think in cash games, I'd probably start with him. Max Scherzer, decent pivot, right? He's at home. He's not in Cincinnati, so that's a plus. Given his flat ball rate, looks solid, looks great. I mean, some of the stuff that DeGrom's doing makes his numbers not look as impressive, but it's damn impressive. Damn impressive. So I'll never argue against Scherzer, and you have plenty of options here. Joe Musgrove against Milwaukee. Musgrove hasn't looked as crisp lately on a results basis, but if you look at his xFIP and Sierra, everything's right on. 34.7% K rate at that. Flaherty's an interesting one. If we know the White Sox. We always take them against lefties, even when they let us down once in a while. But the White Sox just generally have been a decent offense now. From a power perspective, their power has been significantly lower to righties. 139 ISO, but still a 107 WRC plus, which is what, fifth, sixth in the league against righties. So that's an interesting matchup. Corbin Burnes has been awesome, man. And we saw Woodruff visit to San Diego. He's another one though. We kind of gotta, he's been a little off, I think, right? Let me go look at that real quick. No, he's been pretty on. He's looked pretty good. He did have a start in there against St. Louis where he went 78 pitches. I think that was his first start back from an injury. Yes, it was. So he threw 92 pitches against Kansas City. I think he's good to go. So no worries there on Corbin Burnes against the Padres. Padres are a good offense, but Corbin Burnes is nasty. I'm fine with him. I think Jose Barrios in tournaments is interesting. We know Barrios is known for his home and road splits. He is at home against Baltimore. If you look at Barrios' numbers, they're not bad. 3.331 xFIP, 3.55 Sierra, 27% K rate. If we look at Baltimore against righties, third lowest total, I guess tied for the second lowest WRC plus. 24.2% K rate, 135 ISO, 281 WOBA. It's not very good. So, I think he could be sneaky in a way to maybe save some money. Lucas Giolito is extremely cheap. ERA is up at 4.35, but the xFIP is still at 3.6. Under 4. We'll say that. Sierra as well. Strikeout rate looks good. Playing St. Louis. St. Louis is not the ideal team to target with strikeouts, obviously. But they're not exactly the most imposing offense against righties at the moment. And they typically be pretty right-handed, right? I think Giolito, 8.7 and 8.5. That's just really low for the potential upside. Aaron Savali against Detroit. I'm not a fan of Savali. Nothing personal against the dude. But I like guys with big strikeout rates. This guy's strikeout rate is not big, right? 20% just not cutting it. 4.09 Sierra, not cutting it. But you're playing Detroit, so I'll mention you. Clayton Kershaw. This should be in the what to watch segment of the show. But we need to address Clayton Kershaw. And why did I address him so late? It's because he is 8K on DraftKings. DraftKings showing a ton of respect to Houston. Kershaw's numbers are Kershaw-esque. They look good. But Houston has a 16.9% K rate against lefties so far this season. The second highest WRC plus at 125. A 343 WOBA, 159 ISO. DraftKings showing some respect. Strikeouts are king. But with all the no-hitters and everything like that, even if Kershaw doesn't get all the strikeouts we're looking for, 8K for the potential of a complete game even. But it won't be easy. We know that. But just wanted to address that Kershaw's 8K. I thought that was crazy. Gausman's interesting against Arizona. Not too much to say there. Just looking at some potentially cheap options. Talk about price discrepancy. So Kershaw is 8K on DraftKings. He's 10K on FanDuel. Meanwhile, Gausman is 7.2 on DraftKings and 10.8 on FanDuel. Pricing discrepancies out the ass. Last but not least, the cheapest guy we'll discuss is Andrew Heaney. Heaney looks like he's got some progression, positive progression, whatever you want to call it, coming his way with a 3.41 xFIP, 3.33 Sierra, and a 5.31 ERA, 30% K rate. It's pretty solid still. He's playing the Rangers, man. They haven't been as slouchy as last season, but they still suck against lefties. 299 WOBA, 92 WRC plus, 25% K rate. 6.2 on DraftKings for Mr. Heaney. So again, a lot of options. I normally don't go over this many, but there's some good pitchers on the slate, and there's still a couple that I haven't discussed, and we will discuss, and the things to watch, and some that I'm just not bringing up because the list was already too fucking big, and I had to make some cuts somewhere. But this is a slate with some pretty good pitching options, to say the least. Offenses, though, this is where things threw me off. The offenses, I wasn't that, like, not that I'm not that into it. There are certain stands that I'm interested in taking that I'm sure I'll go into a little bit more in the article. But even just trying to locate like who I think is going to be popular, who's the obvious offenses, it wasn't all that easy. For example, the Angels, if we just go by xFIP and Sierra, Hyun Jung Yang, who has looked good ERA wise, but we see a progression coming pretty heavily, and he's playing the Angels. Particularly the Angels against lefties. They don't strike out much, but nothing special so far this season. That's early. Don't want to make any judgments so early, but it's not like in the games in the Angels park. So it's not like super exciting, but it's still one that stands out. The Rays against Brad Keller. Rays have high upside. They're a high upside offense. Keller has an xFIP in the mid fours, 17.6% K rate, which is the big problem with the Rays is they strike out a ton. But they're home. Keller isn't like awful. So it's just not, I think what could gain traction is maybe the Yankees against Steven Matz. Yankees at home, Hitters Park, very right-handed team, going up against Steven Matz, who in the past has been prone to home runs. But this season has pitched a lot better. Despite a 4.69 ERA, a 3.68 xFIP, 3.83 Sierra. We only saw, you got like Tyreek Skubal, who I actually do think Cleveland's interesting, but it's Cleveland, right? I mean, let's look at Cleveland's numbers against lefties. I think they will improve at some point, somewhat. But an 85 WRC plus, one of the worst teams in the league against lefties right now. That's just the way it is. Now, as we get into things to watch, I think those are kind of the offenses that I may get more interested in. Because number one, I think we'll have lower ownership because maybe they have, tougher matchups than normal. But at the end of the day, you want to be playing good players, right? What to watch? Cory Kluber against Toronto. I think Toronto's kind of interesting. Kluber just coming off a no-hitter against the Rangers, one of his old teams. His xFIP is almost double his ERA. And it's in the fours, which tells me he's not throwing ace caliber shit out there. Right? He's playing Toronto, a much better offense, division rival. I think Toronto could end up being a pretty high upside, sneaky offense. You got Charlie Morton against Boston. Where you at, Charlie? So Morton looks like he's got some positive regression coming. But Boston right now is a team you just don't really want to fuck with. Depending on the lineup they put out, they have been striking out more. But a 111 WRC plus 334 WAR, 198 ISO against righties, 25.3% K rate though. Which one of these went out? Greinke against his old team, the Dodgers. I'm not a Greinke guy at this point in his career. I think the Dodgers are a very good offense. I think if we can get the Dodgers at somewhat low ownership because they're playing Zach Greinke, I'll fucking take that all day. All day. And then last thing on things to watch. Chichi Gonzalez, who's got some of the worst numbers on the slate, including a 13.2% K rate. Facing over against my New York Mets, who are just obliterated. They're playing like half for their squad is like literal minor league guys. Probably more than half. Half their squad, you got Lindor, McCann, a couple starters, Dom Smith when he's available. And then you got a couple people that were supposed to be on our bench, mixed with a couple people that are from the minors. But something's going to win here. Either Chi finally has a good game, or the Mets are really cheap and nobody plays them because they don't look like a professional ball club and they end up doing some dirties. Right? So big slate, tough slate. Big slate, tough slate. Dong watch time. I'm gonna go Bo Bichette against Kluber. I'm gonna ride that train. I'm gonna go Justin Upton against Yang. That's right, Justin Upton from the Angels. And I want to say Gary Sanchez against Mats. Assuming that Gary Sanchez is playing. You never know with the Higoshiwa dude. Higashioka? I'm fucking up the name, but obviously he's the preferred defensive catcher. And a lot of the pitchers seem to like him. But I want to say Gary Sanchez, though. And that's going to do it for Tuesday edition of the MLB Wise stream. Appreciate you hanging out with us, whether it's late night streaming live or those of you grinding out in the morning. Please hit the like button, leave some comments, give me some feedback. And check us out at WiseTake.com. For myself, the entire WiseTake Nation, as always, good luck.